Someone said, well, we'll have our director contact you, and the other one, what did they say? They weren't sure they had the product, and they were in the literature. So, yeah, so it was sort of like, okay. But when I looked at the Better Business Bureau's website, they had more than a few that said, yeah, it's a good product and we like it. But what I was sharing were the complaints that I heard. I mean, I want us to have sort of the balanced look.
Yeah.
And the complaints that I heard were basically about unclear communication, okay, people not satisfied with the plumber who came to provide service, and the dissatisfaction with the service.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? So,
Yeah, but they're covered by insurance for that, right? Because you're vetted insurance people. They have to have insurance to cover the plumbers that you deal with.
Correct.
no, I don't mean that insurance. I mean this insurance. It's like the service of the insurance, this insurance from
Oh, I thought you said
from
plumber.
USP. No, they were dissatisfied with the work the
plumber.
plumber did. The plumber, basically, in a couple examples, there were roots in the line and there were collapsed lines between the house and the connection to the municipal water source. And what the plumbers offered was, like in their rebuttal, they said that their priority is to continue flow, like to get the water service restored, like the movement of water restored.
You have to replace the whole pipe.
But that's not what they were doing. You follow?
Well, how
And
did the water flow then?
they augured it. They cleared the inside of the pipe, but they didn't inspect the
Oh,
pipe.
you mean Roto-Rooter did?
Correct.
Oh, well,
Okay.
you can Roto-Rooter.
Right.
Get the roots out, but
But what happens with some of these folks is the tree impinges on the line again, there's another collapse on the line, and 6 months later, basically what they're told, it sounds like to me, is not necessarily use a shortcut, but the first time it happens, make the quick repair. Don't replace the line. Second time it happens, repair the line. Don't remove everything, but just do, patches. And then it sounds like they have to go through a longer process to actually have the pipe removed, extracted from the ground and replaced. It's not like you have a problem, they're gonna come in, dig, replace the line, all good. It's a longer process than just like a light switch. Does that make sense?
Okay.
it does some, but
I mean, I can give you the website and you can look at what these people are writing if you'd want. And it's literally, I put USP and I put in Better Business Bureau and it came up with, here are the positives, it worked, I was happy. And then here's the common threads of the ones that didn't work. So,
I have one more question.
sure.
And I apologize. Is it
Shawarski.
Shawarski.
It's all right if it's wrong.
Shawarski. Ms. Shawarski.
I'm used to it.
We just had some discussion regarding old piping, like terracotta piping. So can you guarantee that your company will indeed replace a lateral that's old piping, as a majority of our
Correct. We have,
town village zone is?
yeah, pretty much all of our communities that we're partnered with do have, a lot of our partners are in the north. I mean, we have them all over the United States, but that's what our program is geared towards, is that older piping and infrastructure. As Commissioner O'Donnell said, it's not always going to be go in there and replace the whole line. It's on a case-by-case situation. It could be a repair of a portion. It could be a replacement of the whole thing, or it is just something that needs cleared out. We go on what the contractor recommends is needed for that repair or replacement. That is why we always have a per incident limit, and we never limit the number of incidents that someone can have in a calendar year. They could call us every other day if they needed to, and they would have $8,500 towards each and every one of those repair incidents.
How do you handle with a landlord that has multiple dwelling units in a building?
So they would be eligible to, a homeowner is able to purchase the program on behalf of a tenant. They're the ones that actually own the lateral, so they have to be the one purchasing the program. It can be a duplex or a triplex or something like that with multiple tenants. They just have to have a single service line, which is most are converted homes into
Is that your
multi-units.
experience?
And as long as
I'm
the
single.
person calling to enroll is the actual homeowner. And that's actually, I feel like, where our program is most successful, where they do have a lot of tenants, because a homeowner knows I can enroll in this, charge a couple more dollars a month in rent and then get that taken care of, and it's out peace of mind for that landlord. If you're having lots of properties, you wouldn't want to have to pay, thousands of dollars to get those lines repaired.
Wanna save them money.
Okay. I'm
I think we need community feedback, what we suggested. I think that's
Okay.
the
so
right
that's our
road.
next step. Or
I think there's value to that, absolutely. I mean, let's put it this way. Yes, well, I'll back up. Process-wise, yes, I think there's definitely value in getting more public feedback. And I would personally find that very persuasive either way, honestly. I mean, I'm on the fence for the most part. But I've heard nothing to convince me either way with great rigor, great vigor.
how does that work though? If we're setting it to referendum, so a majority of town then accepts this scenario, then it's done, or do we collectively, as because we don't vote on it as a board?
Yes,
The-
we do still vote on it as a board.
We're just getting feedback.
You still have to vote on it as a board.
We would still vote on it, but we would typically respect the majority vote. That's typically what happens.
Okay.
I mean, we do reserve the judgment piece, but, it's more common that we would vote, and they would vote with what the majority chose.
Okay.
But the other side is we don't have to go to referendum necessarily. I mean, we saw the option of bringing this up as a future agenda item. But for that public input, I think there's value to it.
Well,
But it's just we have to be specific in how we phrase what the issue is and what the consequences of the choices would be. And here's a question: does USP offer this without a municipal endorsement?
No, it's only available through the partnership. If you were to go to our website currently, put in your zip code, it would say not available.
Interesting. Okay. And what was the other item? Did that answer your question about the referendum piece, though?
yeah,
Or-
I have not been. I remember having a referendum vote in town before my time here on the board, but
Sure, right.
just didn't know how that worked.
Okay. And is everybody comfortable with the referendum idea, or would they rather see a board vote on this issue? Mr. Sweeney, would you rather see a vote, or would you rather have a referendum?
I would like the feedback to see the referendum, but I think it still be a board vote.
Okay. Commissioner Buckman?
Maybe a public meeting.
I'm sorry.
Because a lot of people,
public
some
meeting.
people don't even come vote.
You're right.
So you won't have that.
I mean, we can be aggressive with our outreach. I mean, that's something,
Posted in the newspapers, and
right,
we're not going to get to reach everybody.
correct. That never happens, unfortunately, but it's the
When we
nature of
did
it.
the skateboard park over here, we had 100 people come
Wow.
into the meeting. We had to have it at the VFW because we couldn't hold it in the town hall. That's how many people we had just for skate park. Now you think they for their insurance and stuff for this? We get at least 100 people around.
Mr. Ritz?
Maybe it could even be, I don't know the legalese here, but if there's on the water bill, when they're sending in the thing, would you be interested in hearing about? And then that's how those people would be contacted instead of a mass mailing or, that sort of thing.
Go ahead.
If we do have, we can't do it in public room, but I think we should have a public meeting for people to come in and ask questions. They can't answer questions at the referendum, so they can't see this. They don't know, they probably don't have the information that you gave us.
Right.
So it would be nice if we just have a public meeting for just that.
That'd be fine. That'd be a good idea.
That instead of a referendum and maybe we can fill the room up, so. And she can do her presentation and the people
Sure.
they can do whatever they want, express their opinion then, so we can hear it.
Sure. Would you want to do that sooner rather than later, meaning before the next meeting, or call a second meeting for August? Or would you be okay waiting until September?
We have the option for a second meeting, that's why we always leave
Right.
it open.
Right.
It doesn't matter to me, but I think the people, I think we should have a public meeting so they can see it, because he's right, we shouldn't be voting on, well, I do have that too, we need more feedback from the citizens, because in case you have concerns.
Sure.
You don't, you could vote yes or no, and I could vote yes, and you can vote no, and why did you guys, and it could still pass, and then why did you pass it?
Correct.
We didn't get heard.
Sure, the accountability piece, and you're right. So a public, there's value to a public meeting. All right, so before we go the step to a referendum, all right, why don't we schedule a public meeting related to this item for a public presentation of the,
We can do that before the election.
for the USP, what are we calling this? USP option? Okay. Water line, water and sewer service line
Option.
option. Okay. Mr. Blanchard, would you be all right with a public
Yes,
meeting?
yes.
Mr. Mayor, yes, sir. Oh.
Commissioner.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I like this idea. I just want to throw out two things. Number one,
Sure.
Assuming you're thinking sooner rather than later, the week of August 21st, I would love to be at this meeting. That's a bad week for me.
Okay.
Especially, great, because I was also worried about the burden on town staff and getting this together.
Right,
So,
right.
Just,
Could we do it in the second meeting in December? I mean, September, I'm sorry.
December.
December coming out. September,
Hey,
before the election, because you could make a referendum up and put it on, have it ready.
No, that will not give you enough time to get it on the ballot.
what, just, what,
Because that's it, the second meeting in September would be the 18th, and the election is the 26th. The ballots are usually printed
Commissioner,
first or second week of September. So
Okay.
you couldn't get it on the ballot.
Mr. Mayor,
why not in October?
why not with the new board?
Or you just get, I'm not saying there are
Okay.
any new pieces, I'm just saying, why don't we just take it easy, because we got vacations and the staff.
Okay,
And,
okay.
and these months, and just put it in October. And,
All right.
go-
So, with that in mind, in light of the mayor's request, would this board be okay with making this a public meeting item in October of 2017 after the election?
wherein after said public meeting, we would take everything that we heard from residents and then vote on it.
Yes.
Correct,
Yeah.
based on the input at that meeting, and that would eliminate the option of the referendum.
Okay.
So you don't have the direct action on the item, but you do have the,
More public feedback.
you do have a broader opportunity for that feedback.
And you have more time to get it out to people.
An option that town staff can look into is, and I see a lot of places and municipalities doing this, is doing a survey with the information. Now, it's not official, but it gives
Right.
you an idea,
Right.
and you may get more response to that than you will.
True, but we're still eliminating the impoverished who don't have internet access. I mean, it's just.
Well, that's assuming that you're doing it digitally. Could you also do it by a written ballot
It's,
at the town
um,
office?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't just have to have one means of
Right.
survey.
The next round of water bills go out
October,
September 29th.
that'd be good.
Well, here's a question. How much does a direct mailing cost to every home in the town? Approximately.
I can't tell you, because they go out in prepaid stamped envelopes.
Okay.
Can we send
So
a little
you mail
survey
out
paper out?
1,080 water bills.
Well, we can do that with the water bill. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, but maybe a vendor might want to sponsor it.
Well, I don't know if you could just say yes, you want
I
this.
was taking a note.
Piece of paper, yes or no?
I can always ask.
Or announce the meeting. Just, announcing the meeting or the survey or, sure.
Okay, it's only gonna be a little piece of paper saying yes or no. You're not putting a great big 3-page thing in there.
But you are going to explain what they're saying
Yeah.
yes or no to.
To the insurance, yes, well, you have to put, this
Yeah,
would
there's
be
your
nice.
3 pages.
No, that's one thing.
But the pay fee, the fee scale
He's
and,
not there, see, that's why we're telling you.
yeah.
That's a lot.
Or you could do something in conjunction with the library, take the survey here. I mean, there are a lot of ways we could do this, a lot of permutations. But the first step we have to do is this. At the end of this meeting, we're going to set our agenda for the next meeting in September. And we have to make an institutional note that in the October meeting, we're also going to have a public meeting related to a presentation related to the USP insurance of sewer service line.
Right.
I'm sorry, the water and sewer service lines. So, and it is both lines, correct?
Correct. We
Yeah,
offer
okay, okay.
external water, external sewer, and in-home plumbing.
Inside the house also.
Okay, so do we feel we have a direction board with what we're doing? Do we
Yes.
have a concurrence on this? So,
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Mr. Sweeney, are you okay
And
with
just to
that?
have it, it's a second meeting just on this,
A public meeting on this?
just on this,
Not,
nothing
not a
else.
town meeting, a public meeting.
Public meeting,
So that
right.
could be part of, well, that would be a separate, just a completely
Right.
separate meeting unto itself,
We would
correct?
only take input from the public after, I don't know, maybe you could, there's people would be interested in seeing the presentation again.
Oh,
That'd be
perfect.
nice. And if you can bring lots of literature to hang out and hand out to all the people.
For sure.
Okay. Mr. Blanchard, just
Yeah,
to
I'm
review,
good.
you're okay with the public meeting
Yep.
in October related to this topic? Okay. Staff related to vacations and staffing, October sufficient for our needs, do you feel?
Yes.
Okay, no budget items or other related comp plan things or,
No, we should be fine.
okay, all right. And the Briggs Memorial Helipad is okay, yeah, okay, very good. All right, so, these things having been said, it looks like we're gonna conclude this agenda item. Thank you, we appreciate you being involved, we appreciate what's going on.
Thank you for letting me know.
It's a process.
Go Ravens.
Yeah, there you go, right, Funny.
We'll say go Pirates. We'll stick with me.
We went through this last month. Okay.
All right. Very good. Okay, so Mr. Sweeney, we're good?
I'm fine,
Okay,
yes.
good. Just want to make sure. Okay,
It's good to get the public input.
absolutely. Okay, sorry. Going to agenda item number 2, rocketing along. Goodness, sorry, guys.
Today, Commissioner.
Appointment of election judges.
Appointment of election judges. Yes, very good. I thought, wait a minute here. Okay, very good.
You ready?
Mr. Mayor, yes.
Okay, seasoned staff, we have Sharon Hain, Charlotte Mazaleski, and Barbara Wheaton, and they've been our judge. They were judges the last time around, and we have a newcomer, Julie Holmes, lives on DePaul Street, and she would be the alternate. We just got that today, Julie Holmes, and I would recommend them to you all.
Okay, so you're looking for a vote?
I think so.
Okay, very good. The mayor has recommended Sharon Hain, Charlotte Mazaleski, Barbara Whedon, and Julie Holmes, Holmes, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, as the election judges. Is there a motion to support the mayor's request?
I'll make the motion to appoint these election judges that you stated for the upcoming elections. Should I say their names?
Sure.
Okay. Sharon Hain, Charlotte Mazaleski, Barbara Whedon, and Julie Holmes.
Very good. Okay, is there a second for this motion?
I'll second.
Okay, the motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman, it's been seconded by Commissioner Ritz. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion carries 5-0. We now turn to agenda item number 3, ordinances to amend Title 13 Public Services for discussion, presentation forthcoming by town staff.
Do you have copies of that policy? I'll go ahead and give you copies of the 12. So that you have it when we get to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Yes. This is it.
That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
All right, so one of the things that I do regularly is have department head meetings where I meet with all our department heads and we go over current projects, future projects, concerns, things that they'd like addressed, any problems that they have encountered. So one of the things we started to discuss was our water and sewer code and the problems that our public works staff faces on a daily basis. And one of the things that have been found is a lot of what they do has been told but not written on paper. There's no guidelines to who's responsible for what, and who's responsible to fix things and who's not. And I like, as I mentioned before, clear-cut guidelines. It protects your residents, your homeowners, it protects your staff, and it protects the town. So as we started to go through the water and sewer sections of the code and certain things that staff brought up that they encounter on a regular basis is what we've addressed here on these 3 ordinances and 1 policy. So if you start with ordinance 1705, it looks to amend Title 13, Section 04060, responsibility for installation costs and maintenance of the water meters. And basically, the town provides and installs your water meters at town's expense. When the meter fails, if it's a new meter, if it's old, and if you recall, part of the budget was to go around and start updating. I believe we put in the budget to update 100 water meters this year, so to bring them all up to date. So anytime a meter fails for those reasons, the town will replace it at town's expense. One of the things that we are finding, and there is a typo in here, but in the correct one, that typo's been fixed, that staff finds is some residents, property owners, are neglectful. They are allowing their water meters to freeze quite frequently. Not just once or twice, but it's happening quite often. And they're not taking care of where their water meters are. Most water meters are in your basement, and there's not care to them. So the town has to go out and repair these and replace them frequently. So the only wording that we added was the property owner shall take all necessary steps to ensure meters do not freeze. If the meter fails due to neglect or other negligent or intentional fault on the part of the property owner or occupant or their guests or invitees, the meter shall be installed by the town at the owner's expense. And as I go through all these ordinances, John Clapp has reviewed them all. This, you can tell this is very legal language. It is all based off of his recommendations and his wording, and he has reviewed them all. So this would be the only change to that section of the code.
Do we ask questions at the end?
I'd prefer
like
to
a-
do them one at a
is
time.
one at a time? Okay, yeah.
Yes, please.
Sure. Mr. Ritz and Ms. Buckman?
With the new verbiage there, so the meters shall be installed by the town at the owner's expense. I'm assuming if the owner lets it freeze and a new meter is installed, it'd be the same size meter?
Correct.
There'd be no like
Unless,
upgrade, 'cause
correct.
that-
We wouldn't, and I mean, these are things that would have to work out, but we wouldn't say, okay, you need double the size meter now, and we're going to charge you, instead of the $200, we're going to charge you the $500. Typically, the same size meter is going to be replaced. We'll replace it with the new meters that we are
Okay.
doing.
Because I think meter size, from what I remember, affects, the multiplier. I believe.
No, the size of the line.
The size of the line.
The size of the line
Okay.
affects the multiplier.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes. The newer the meter, the more accurate it reads.
I've never had to deal with my water meter. I don't know where it is. What is neglect?
Letting it freeze. Like, for example, my water meter is in the basement. It sits on an outside wall. If there's no heat to your water meter, no, you don't heat your basement, it does freeze. If you stack a bunch of boxes, you damage it in any way, those are neglectful things. It's willful neglect. It's not,
I guess because
It
mine's
just-
probably in my basement near my boiler, I probably don't think about it.
It could be near it, it might not be, though. Typically, a boiler is in a central
I'm gonna go look
location.
for it
right, mine's not,
And your
right.
water meter's away from it, quite frankly. However, if your boiler is throwing off heat, then you have treated air in that environment.
Yeah,
If you have
it is
untreated
treated.
air, then it's exposed to the elements and it freezes and therefore it's damaged.
I'm gonna go look for it tonight.
No.
Most of the neglect does come from freezing, from the meters freezing. Either the home's not occupied, they're not putting heat in their basement. If it's a bank-owned property, and they turn everything off, things like that is what causes most neglectful damage to
That
meters.
would happen also while your pipes froze.
Yeah, because your water has to flow, and it won't freeze if it's flowing. You be in use,
Gotcha.
but if it sits
Okay.
for a year or two, and like an abandoned house, it could freeze.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the language or the modification to the language?
No, it's pretty clear cut. Makes sense.
Okay. So it seems tentatively that's approved, but do you want to vote per item as well, or? or we
However
just-
you want to handle that is fine. I just want to go through them one at a time.
Okay, the only concern I had was, I thought we had listed this as discussion.
I listed it
Consideration.
as what I listed as. It should have been for discussion and possible consideration.
Okay. But if we have it as discussion, then we can't vote on it because we didn't advertise it as such, which I know is kind of a stinky thing, but
Yeah, it's true.
that's,
Yeah.
you know,
the
if,
October.
I don't think that would change anybody's view, as this is sort of a minutiae thing, but it could, and therefore, yeah,
Fine.
it says for discussion on the front page, so, okay, so we're okay with the language here, and we'll vote on this next meeting?
Okay.
Okay, we'll set that as a agenda item, okay. So, moving forward. This one has a lot of changes.
This one is, and if you don't mind, I would like to skip forward to 1707,
Okay.
I believe. Yeah, I'd like to jump forward to 1707 and come back to 1706 because 1706 deals with your sewer line, or your sewer charges, and a lot of your sewer charges piggyback what is written under your water.
Okay.
Okay, so again, this one actually was written by John Clapp and reviewed. And just a note on all these sections here, they're in compliance with the Maryland Code, the environmental article, section 9-724, subsection C. The state has mandated procedures in regards to how municipalities bill on their water and sewer lines. So a lot of these changes bring it into compliance with that state article. So if you look at 1707, page 1, or page 24, Section A and B remained unchanged. There's no changes to that. And that basically was your water rates. And then Section C has been, is struck out because he created, Mr. Clapp created a new section, Section 1304035, that deals with collection of charges, your collection charges, on how you bill and how you collect for your water billing. Section A basically says that the section are policy, procedures, and constitute guidelines which do not create any requirements or standards which upon noncompliance will give rise to any claim to or of action or basis for non-payment for services rendered. The failure of the town to comply strictly with any of these policy, procedures, and guidelines is not a waiver or relinquishment of any rights of the town to seek payment for water services rendered, nor does such failure create any defense to the obligation of the user to pay for water services rendered. Basically, that says, the code says your bill will get there in 30 days, 45 days, so you don't get it or it's sent out on a specific date. Just because if it doesn't get sent out on the specific date doesn't mean you don't have to pay your water bill. It basically says that no matter what, you're still responsible to pay for your water service. And then,
Well, let's go. Everybody good with A, the changes that A brings forward? We're okay there? Okay, thank you.
okay, and then B, this just kind of cleared up, and there's a typo in there that would be changed on the hard copy. Section B, and this is basically brings it into compliance with that environmental article. All charges for water service are the obligation and shall be charged to and collected from the owner of the property served. All water service accounts will be established in the name of the property owner where service is rendered. Bills will be named in the name of the property owner to the property address. Upon written request made annually, and this is a section that we did add. Upon written request made annually by the property owner, the town will mail bills, late notices, disconnection notices, and any other notices and communications to the property owner to such other address as has been designated by the property owner or to the property owner in the care of a designated property management company at the company's address. No accounts will be established and no bills will be mailed in the name of the tenant.
Great, okay. And that responds to a request that we had here in the office, here in a meeting earlier. So that's good to see. I mean, we had a landlord come and talk about that. Mr. Walker came in that
Okay.
time. Do you recall that? So this is great.
Basically, there is no legal recourse to your tenants. The only legal recourse, the only person responsible for anything related to your water or sewer is your property owner. And it says here, bills for water service are to be sent to the property owner, the property owner's designee, such as your property rental company. So if you have a management company, say like Claggett, Sunshine Management, the bills are sent directly to them.
Great.
Okay? So that's that section.
A quick thing about B, third line from the bottom,
Owner,
the property owner. The other one is second line from the bottom, established. On the
Oh,
far
yeah,
right,
that's
so,
pretty bad.
Yeah, that's it's like transcription into a machine.
That
it
would
sounds
be
like, yeah.
Mr. Clapp.
Oh, well,
So currently, regarding letter B, I know this is new verbiage in here, but did you just state, correct me if I'm wrong, the larger organizations such as Sunshine Management or Claggett, they currently have, for like if they own a building with a lot of tenants, they currently receive all the water bills for said tenants?
I believe so, yes.
But going forward, it looks
Because
like
there are no, I'm sorry.
any rental property going forward now, we're looking to have the bills sent directly to the landlords. Not,
Or to their designated, that's what that sentence here says, that to such other address has been designated by the property owner to the property owner in the care of a designated property management company at that company's address.
Or your tenant.
It does not go to the tenant.
no, not the
It never
tenant.
goes to the tenant. It's never put in the tenant's name.
it never has been?
Never has been. It may have been many, many years ago, but it does not go to the tenant. It goes to the property owner. The property owner is legally responsible for their water and sewer bill. Our sewers, our billing system can only generate one bill per address, per service address. So that bill goes to the property owner. It's the property owner's responsibility.
It's his
And that's what's
responsibility.
mentioned in the state article, in environment article.
And it's their responsibility to collect all the money from the tenants
Right.
to pay for
Right.
the water bill. Yep.
So I've had people who have purchased homes and because the water was cut off and it was delinquent, they get that old bill that they have to pay
Correct.
for the person that
Correct.
owned it before them.
Correct.
It's a lien.
It's a lien.
Yeah, that's normal. It's unfortunate, but
Is
it's
it
normal.
stated as a lien on the,
It should be on the
because I
on the
think
title.
A lot of
people are
times,
surprised by it.
unpaid water bills go to tax sale, go to county tax sale, and so when it's sold, it's registered with the county that you owe the town of Emmitsburg X amount of dollars. A lot of times that's rolled into their loans that they get or their,
Your property title.
right,
You get title
so,
insurance to protect.
but
you
that's
from-
standard,
Yeah, the electric company does it too.
right.
And, you know, they won't turn your electric on if you buy that building until that past bill is paid.
Really?
Or you can have a vendor, like a tradesman, like a plumber or a carpenter. If you do business with somebody, they can place a lien against your property if you have an outstanding bill with them. So when the property conveys to the next person, if the title isn't clear, then you can either pay for it or you can press the existing owner to pay for it. But that does convey. And, you know, that's the nature of it, unfortunately, but it's, you know, good for the businesses, not for the property owner.
So what was changed with Mr. Walker coming in?
Nothing was changed. This is the same way that it was written. The only language we added was the opportunity for your property owner to come in annually to designate a property management company to have your bills sent there. That was the only section that we added. the code has always stated that the bills are sent to the property owner where the services occurred.
Okay. It's hard to read the strike through.
That's a little small.
Are we okay with Part B? Anybody have questions or concerns related to Part B?
And that addresses the concerns that Mr. Walker brought forward.
I think there was a question of clarification of it. I mean, something that he was concerned with is he had hoped to see the bill go to the tenant specifically, but this clarifies that this reiterates that it doesn't go to the tenant, it goes to the property owner, but also it gives an option for the property manager to have it assigned somewhere. Or sorry, the property owner can assign where it goes to, like a property manager, like a third party who, if you have a lot of property, you have a property management company potentially. And he can come in and say, I don't want to handle this. I'm not going to worry about it. Let my property management company do it. I pay them to do it. Let them handle it. So he can now come in, or a person can now come in and say, send this to Sunshine Management, and they will manage my properties for me.
Yeah, but I don't think this addresses his concerns. I don't think he uses a property management company. I think he is his property management
Right,
company.
but what I'm saying is this clarifies what he was concerned about. I think he wanted to know if he could have the bill sent to the tenant, and the town cannot do that.
Okay.
But you could do that with electricity, and you could do that with gas, and you could do that with,
There are also multi-million-dollar companies that can generate all kinds of different bills, and their rules and regulations are different. We have to follow the standards of the state, with the state mandates
so
for
all other
municipalities.
municipalities do the same thing as we're doing?
In the state of Maryland, every single one that I've looked at is the same. It comes down to liability. Your tenants, there's so much turnover with your tenants, and the town trying to be responsible and know which tenant is in here now.
Right.
And so
I
then
see, it
if
would
you
be
mail
too
it to your
fluid.
tenant, your property owner doesn't know. So let's say your tenant moves out, just ups and leaves. You don't know as a property owner that your water bill wasn't paid. You're in the middle of winter, your pipes freeze. Now you've got all this mess, but because you don't get any of the bills. You are legally responsible and liable for your house. And this protects them just as much as it does the town.
Right, and your lease also has the legal language that obligates the tenant to pay the landlord. So there is protection for the landlord.
Right.
He's not hanging in the wind, or she's not, but that's the legal nature of that contract, that lease.
Okay.
Correct.
So are we good with Part B, or anybody have any changes or concerns? Hearing none, let's
I
move to
think I'm
Part
okay
C.
with Part B.
Part C, the big change in Part C, and this came from a lot of feedback from our accounting department and our receptionist, or our office manager who takes in the bills. Right now, the bills are mailed out quarterly. They're mailed out by the 1st of January, April, July, and October. That's the way the code writes. And there was some confusing language in there about after that, if any bill remains unpaid after 30 days, then you'll get a late notice. And sometimes your 30 days would be either prior to the 1st of the following month or right at the 1st. And knowing that a lot of complaints that people in town are on a fixed income, and they don't receive some of their fixed income checks till maybe the 2nd, the 3rd, sometimes the 4th, they were constantly having to pay a late fee. So in an effort to help residents have a good idea, I know when my water bill is due now. I know it's due on the 5th of February, May, August, and November. I know that. So I know when my bill's due now. And then we also add the language, if the 5th falls on a holiday or weekend, the final due date will be extended to the following business day. So if the 5th is a Saturday or Sunday, it'll be on the Monday. And that was basically the only out of C, that was the only addition to it that we made. The late charge was established in a policy and some time ago, and the late charge is a 5% charge on your bill. John Clapp suggested that we do put that in the ordinance as well. But everything else remains the same as far as letter C is concerned. We just established a firm due date.
Second to last line.
Oh my goodness, seriously? I didn't type this.
I know. Disconnect.
I'm calling him tomorrow.
I typed it.
Well, there you go.
Wait a minute. Mr. Mayor, this is in English, though.
I'm
It's
responsible for everything. So
not in the usual Dutch.
See, and apparently, and I just learned this from our town clerk, when you type in all
It
caps,
doesn't correct it.
yeah, spell check doesn't work.
No.
So
They're all acronyms.
let them slide a little bit. All right, and then the final section, which I added, and this was just something that I had seen in other towns' codes, is basically it tells you if you're a new resident to town or you want to know, these are how you can pay your water bill or your sewer bill. And it gives you the options of where you can pay.
That's a nice touch, thank you.
Great. Everybody okay with this addition? Part D? We're okay here? Okay, very good. Okay.
And then, we good with that one?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll
Just one thing. Now, this is not no new items, but I know parts A and B are unchanged
Right.
because that regards the rates.
Those are the rates,
And I
right.
know, I remember in the past, someone came in before as a single person using X amount per month was under the 6,000 gallons, and they questioned that, and former town manager stated it was a
state mandate.
state mandate, and they were basically unhygienic, which upset the
Yes.
individual.
Yes.
There is another individual came forward to me, single, again, asking the same thing. Why is it written into the code? Can we look at that?
It is a state mandate of what they say, that you have to allocate so many gallons per day for each household. And that's what the town has to produce.
Okay, so
And so it's a state mandate.
if I come to you outside the meeting, at least I could give them the actual code from Maryland state law.
Oh, I'd have to look that section up, but
I don't
can
need
get
I
that
don't
to
need
you.
it tomorrow, but just we had this discussion, and
Right.
okay, I would like to present that. Thank you.
We have a basic charge we charge too, all house, everybody pays a basic rate, correct?
You pay the flat rate and then anything above that.
Right.
It's a tier.
But they all start at the same rate,
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
no matter what.
right.
No matter if you use 5,000 gallons or 10,000 gallons.
Correct. All right. 1706, I want
Okay,
to pop
so
back
we're-
to sewer system.
So we're going back.
Right.
Okay.
It's page 22.
Okay.
Again, you'll see this was written, reviewed by John Clapp. It comes into compliance with the environmental article. And section A and B are unchanged, and those are your rates, just like the water one. And this one, again, the change on this one, the big change on this one, are the bills are due on the 5th of the following month, respectively February, May, August, and November. If the 5th falls on a holiday or weekend, the bills are due on the next business day. And we did change if any bill remains unpaid after 45 days. So that covers going to the 5th. And the difference is, and I learned this from Mr. Clapp, that the rules for non-payment of sewer bills, because there are a handful of residents that only have sewer, but the majority of people here have town and sewer. And the town can discontinue water service to the property any time thereafter. The notice shall be mailed to the last known address of the property owner or posted on the property served. If the water service has been disconnected for failure to pay the sewer charges, then prior to reconnecting the water service, the entire sewer bill and owing and a reconnection charge of $100 must be paid in full, which you set the disconnection fee in a policy. A sewer bill remaining unpaid after 60 days from the date the bill was originally mailed may be collected from the owner of the property in the same manner at the same interest rate as taxes are collected in Frederick County. Nothing contained in this section shall preclude the town from the use of any other procedure available to collect unpaid sewer charges. Basically, you can't turn off somebody's sewer.
Right.
causes big problems.
Yeah.
So you don't have the option of shutting off sewer like you have the option of
Yeah.
shutting off water.
In order to
So
collect
that's
sewer, you
why
shut
the,
the water.
right, the collections and delinquency is handled a little bit differently than water.
Extended an additional 30 days.
Well, you can't use your sewer unless you have water
Right.
anyway.
I was just gonna add that. That's a good point.
So, yeah, very true. That's the change on that one. And those were all Mr. Clapp's recommendations for that one.
So we're okay, folks, with 1706, the section modified. Any questions or concerns?
No.
Mr. Blanchard, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay. And nothing typo-wise, we're good?
Oh, thank you.
Not that I saw.
I apologize for the typos. It was a
Trust
dark
me,
and dreary night.
I know it's not staff.
It was a
Don't worry.
dark and dreary night. I was
The
alone.
only thing I want to see is
late
when it
at
comes
night.
forward that it's good, and it always is, so. Okay, so now 1703?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so if you'll see there, you'll have policy 1201. I gave you copies of that. And basically, policy 1201 says it is and has been and will remain the policy of the town of Emmitsburg to maintain its water and sewer mains and systems. And then it goes on and says, all maintenance, repair, and or replacement of said house service connections will be the sole responsibility of the party being served by said connections. And it broke out Brookfield, Northgate, Pembroke, Silo Hill, and Southgate. This policy says that basically this did from the property line to the residence, that we would take care of your sewer service, which made it difficult for staff when they're out making the repairs of, I fixed this section, but I don't fix that section. Speaking with the historic section, the older section, it was from the clean out to the structure. So, do we have the, do you have the, yes, the slide? If you look at the slide, or look at this part here, let's just start at the beginning of, yeah, that's fine. Let's start with the water lines, and then I'll move down the sewer lines. So, nowhere in the code, other than this policy, does it address responsibility for your water mains, your water line repairs, your curb boxes, and your sewer cleanouts. So staff was kind of just going off of word of mouth, what was done back in the day, or what they were told to do, but there was nothing written. So we wanted to make sure that we put it in writing. And when it comes to your water lines, and this is the way that it's always been, the town will be responsible for maintenance, repair, and/or replacements of said water lines from the curb box where reasonably determined to the main line. The property owner will be responsible for maintenance, repair, and/or replacement of said water lines from the curb box to the structure. And if you look at your drawing, you'll see your curb box kind of shows, that's the sewer one. That's okay. So for the water, the owner's responsibility, if you see on the drawing, is from your curb box to the structure.
Was I clicking again?
The town's responsibility is everything from the curb box out to the main for repair. And that's basically the way that it's always been.
Sorry.
We just wanted it kind of always been, never written down. It's just the way staff's always been told to do it. We wanted to incorporate that in the policy so staff knows, you as elected official know, and your homeowners know what they're responsible for. And if this is approved, we would like to send these drawings out with the updates as well. So that's for your water line. And then we added a section, when a curb box has been damaged by a property owner, occupant, or their guests or invitees through neglect or misuse, as determined by town staff, it will be the property owner's responsibility to repair and/or replace. After the repair and/or replacement has been made, town staff will inspect the repair and/or replacement for proper completion. Your your curb box, most of the time it's damaged, it gets run over, gets hit by a lawnmower, things of that nature. Now, if it fails or damages on its own from wear and tear, just needs to be replaced, then the town will replace it at town's expense. Your curb box usually costs, the top piece and the stem are about $38, $40. And then there's the section on the sewer lines for the policy. The town will be responsible for maintenance, repair, and/or replacements of said sewer lines from the property line where reasonably determined to the main line. The property owner will be responsible for maintenance, repair, and/or replacement of said sewer lines from the property line to the structure. So this clarifies, it makes the whole town uniform, instead of being, and your clean out can be, if you have a large property, you may have more than one clean out. You may have, I know my house has two. Larger yards or houses may have more than that. So this basically makes it uniform for the town. Instead of half the town, we do from the property line to the structure, and the other half of the town we do from the sewer clean out, from the property line in or the clean out in. Staff feels that this is actually benefits the homeowner because sometimes your clean outs, you might be responsible for digging up the street, and you shouldn't be responsible for anything that goes outside of your property line,
Okay.
with the exception of a clog. If your clog occurs, actually, let me get to that section. So that's basically, it's uniform. So staff knows, okay, if it's related to the sewer line, we do everything from the property line out to the main. And if it's the property owner knows they're gonna do everything from the property line in. And it puts it on paper and it clarifies it. And repairs and replacement does not include a clog. All clogs occurring from the property line to the building will require the homeowner to contact a plumber. If a clog is determined to be caused by the homeowner's misuse or neglect, the homeowner will be fully responsible for the repair. After the repair has been made, town staff will inspect. A lot of your sewer clogs, just as the mayor said, a tree on your property line has gone through your sewer line. Things are clogging up your sewer, whatever you're, putting down there. It is your homeowner's responsibility. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna call a plumber. The plumber's gonna call the staff, and the staff will go out and inspect anyway. And then the other section is just like the curb box, your sewer cleanouts. If they're damaged through neglect or misuse, it should be the property owners to repair and replace at their expense. If it's just wear and tear, it's old, it needs to be replaced, the town will continue to make the repair and replacement at the town's expense.
Okay. Staff, board? Anybody have questions for the second part?
I guess I understand the intent. Reading the original policy now, it's sort of universal and fair all around. And I guess the old policy, the areas that were identified were because they were newer
Right.
developments, so to speak. So they were the homeowners of those, like currently, I guess then the homeowners of those subdivisions then are not responsible.
Their responsibility doesn't change. They've always been responsible from the property line in.
Okay.
So their responsibility doesn't change. You're basically easing the burden on the rest of the town that had from the sewer clean out in. you've now extended the responsibility of the town.
Because initially it did state that this will not be extended to older sections of the
Right.
town where the rights of way cannot be readily determined. And I'm assuming now that we have and I forget is it
GIS.
the GIS? Does this
Right.
play a role in this somehow?
It will.
Okay.
It will. And in talking with staff, and to be honest, the work that's being done at the bridge and the work that's being done at the sidewalks, we're becoming very familiar with where our water lines and our sewer lines and our curb boxes are, and our staff feels very comfortable with this change.
Okay.
To be honest, they never really agreed with the differential between the two, because at times you could then hold your property owner responsible for having to dig up the streets or going out into the street and trying to make repairs, and that shouldn't be on your property owner.
Well, if I have a problem, I'm calling Cliff. So,
Oh, yeah.
For the sewer,
And this drawing that you see here, the sewer cleanout isn't necessarily right there. It can be on the other side of the property line. It can be 2 in. This is just kind of a
or some don't
guideline
have any at
picture.
all.
What's that?
Some might not have any
Right,
at all.
some may not have a cleanout at all.
not right. You're
So
okay
it's good
coming
to do
over?
the prop- Mine does, but mine's way up here
Right.
at the beginning of the house, so
You're okay coming over, just in
50 feet
case?
before we get to the,
Yeah, can I get your number, Cliff? Just-
If I can call you, right? I mean, you're kind of dodging that one, but I'm gonna call you.
You get a lot of business.
So I'm reading this, just make sure I'm reading this right. So the 5 areas that are identified in the old policy, the homeowner was responsible from the house clear out to the main,
To the property line,
to the property line. The town was responsible from the property line to the main.
correct.
So previously, excluding these sections, the homeowner was responsible for the house to the main,
House to the cleanout.
clean out. Okay.
Let me pull my notes out. It's getting late. I'm tired.
It didn't say clean out, so I didn't, unless it has.
No, and it wasn't, specifically mentioned on
The
here.
language was not
But see,
clear,
and that's what,
and that's what we're cleaning up.
Commissioner Ritz, this is what I'm trying to eliminate. This was all done by word. It was never written. You'll never find it anywhere in writing in any code or any policy.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like staff was told, okay, so outside of this policy, staff was told, anything outside of these 5 delineated areas, you're gonna take care of the clean out in. Or out, excuse me, I'm getting torn around.
Okay.
Mr. Ritz, we're good?
Yeah, just one more though, just because this is a policy, do we vote on this tonight, or does this go hand in hand with the other ordinances?
It goes with everything. You can
This
do
will-
it
okay.
another
Right.
night.
Then I'm finished. I'll be
Okay.
quiet now.
So with that in mind, that concludes the presentation, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't feel we have any more questions, is that accurate as well?
I'm good.
I'm not trying to expedite things, but I'm trying to expedite things. Okay, so we're good. Mr. Mayor, any commentary? No? All right, so to that end, staff, thank you for the time put into this. This is very helpful, and its uniformity, I think, will serve us well in the future.
And our hope is to, once these are all approved, put it in the newsletter that goes out with the water bill. Not just these areas, but other, highlighted sections of the water and sewer code, so everybody knows responsibilities and how your bill works and things like that.
So for our next meeting,
Yep.
we have, our first agenda item will be consideration for ordinance to amend Title 13 Public Services for discussion? For consideration. Okay, everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Staff, do you have anything to bring forward for
I
September?
do.
Okay. Hey, wait a minute, that sounds too enthusiastic.
I know. I have 2 things for admin business. I have a representative from Vigilant Hose Company would like to come in and speak regarding a request for a road closure in May of 2018 for their spring fling, which will be held at the ambulance company.
Okay,
They're looking to get permission from the board to close a section of Creamery Road.
okay.
I love the merger.
Admin business, a proclamation. September is National Substance Abuse Prevention Month. I have
Oh, proclamation.
consideration and public hearing regarding text amendments related to place of worship as a use in various sections of the zoning ordinance.
Say that again?
Consideration and public hearing regarding text amendments related to place of worship as a use in various sections of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, so the goal there, I'm assuming, is to modify the language to end house of worship to public gathering space or something akin to that? Is that what we're looking at, or
It's for the B2 zoning, I think.
Correct.
is it strictly B2?
I think it applies to other parts of the zoning too. Once we
Okay.
got changed one, we have to change it all.
Right, okay.
Down to, it had
Village zone.
village zone, yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
There's some other implications if when we do that, it also may open up that you could put, other arenas in residential or something like that.
Okay.
So you have to kind of work that out of the residential. I think that, our planner has been working on it
Okay.
and, with our town manager.
And is that an agenda item, or is that?
Yes,
Okay, so that's an agenda item, so
that's
that would
an
be,
agenda item,
okay, so that would be number 2 then,
right.
okay?
And there will be a public hearing before that, right? There'll be a public
This
hearing.
item will need to be advertised first being not less for 15 days. That constitutes your public hearing for it. We'll advertise for it 15 days before the meeting.
You're good.
Where am I at?
Like
That's
you have to close the
two.
meeting. of
I've
public
got
hearing.
two. if you want.
Consent,
Go ahead.
don't.
I'm not gonna show up.
Consent agenda, appoint Wayne Slaughter as an alternate to the planning commission.
Yes. That could be on the consent agenda.
Right.
Okay.
I have,
You mentioned two other,
I'm
you got them?
getting there.
Okay. You're getting tired,
I am getting tired.
grumpy.
Updates to the employee handbook for possible consideration. Our employee handbook has not been updated in 5 years, and it's out of compliance on certain areas, so our HR representative has, consultant has, reviewed it and made some suggested changes.
Okay,
And my last one is an update on the MS4 permit on stormwater management and illicit discharge inspection protocol. State mandated permit.
Or turn that over to Citizens Advisory. Okay.
Yeah, we'll handle that one.
okay.
I will, I'll be bringing a letter in the guidelines that the state is requiring of us by the end of the year. It's the update on MS4 permit on stormwater management and illicit discharge inspection protocol.
Not MS-13.
Okay, now here's my concern. That's a very detailed and explicit heading. It might be too detailed and explicit for someone who's not been following the process. Is it possible to have a less vernacular-driven
Oh,
description
I'm
of it?
good with it. I thought you guys
Okay.
would like a better explanation. We can do update on MS4 permit.
No. What I'm saying is the other way around. Just a simpler explanation. So if somebody is concerned about what that is, you're not getting a phone call, but it's there in what the agenda is.
Is this for
Really don't know how
sediment
to-
control ponds?
I don't really know
Didn't
how to
the
make it
storm
any,
drain belong to the state?
some do,
Most do,
Yes.
but not all. Right.
right?
Right. Some belong to the neighborhoods. Some belong to the town.
Yeah.
No, some belong to the neighborhoods, but I don't think any
Yeah, I
belong
think
to the
that
town.
our private roads are like the Paul Street and all them belong to us. But the north and south and east and west belong to the state. But sediment control ponds belong to us.
There's a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And we need to get you up to speed, the board up to speed on the whole process.
So how about sediment pond review
That's not
as
what it
related
is.
to?
That's
No?
not what it is.
That's
All right.
not what it is.
So
Basically, the illicit discharge inspections, because that is the big part of the new permit. They've had several stages of the permit.
Okay.
And this is basically, I don't know how else to explain it, stormwater management and illicit discharge.
okay.
I mean, I don't know how,
Stormwater management.
Discharging into the water system, is that what they're talking about? Because of, I guess, for the Chesapeake Bay?
right.
Okay, so
You can leave,
Emmitsburg stormwater management as related to the Chesapeake Bay, and then the specific name MS4 permit on,
I would just leave it as update on MS4 permit on stormwater management.
okay, it just, my concern is that someone's not gonna understand what that means.
Well, I don't really understand what it means either.
But, okay.
So I don't know, there's
and
no
that's our
easy way
issue.
to
I
explain
mean-
it, that's the problem. I
Okay.
mean, it's not as simple as running runoff water into the Chesapeake Bay.
Sure.
It's just not. It's the town establishing protocols on making sure there's no illicit discharges into anything, into the storm drains, and how are we managing our stormwater ponds and things of that nature.
And we've already done most of that, right?
Okay, so how about
It's a different permit.
town stormwater management as related to update on MS4? I mean, and the reason I'm saying is because
That's fine.
if it's hyper technical, it's no good to anybody, including you. You know, so we want everyone to
I get it.
have an understanding. Okay. Beyond that, any other items?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Anybody else have anything?
No, that's a big
don't know.
agenda.
That's a full agenda. Certainly it is. Okay. All right. Any final comments? Yes. Okay. Yes, we're going back to school, and I will share this. I do not know when my back to school night will occur, and Mr. Sweeney, all kidding aside, there's a possibility that that night might be it. So, I would have to hand the gavel to you that night, and I would arrive
What night?
the September
Tuesday,
meeting.
September 5th.
Oh, okay.
You follow what I'm saying? So, there's a possibility that could be my school's back-to-school night, which would require me to be there that night. So what I'm saying is I might be absent from
I
the.
think all the schools go back September 5th. Most of them do, don't they?
Right, but the back-to-school night is when the parents come in also. So, and I would be obligated by my employer to be there. So, just trying to give you fair warning.
It won't be a long meeting.
And there we go. Okay,
Wow. All right.
I can't get it out. All right, with that in mind, is there a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second? Second.
Second that.
Motion is made by Commissioner Ritz, seconded by Commissioner Buckman. Any further comment? Hearing none, all in favor, good evening.